Today is day 11th of the hunger strike that the Cuban nationals are doing. So we've seen an uptake in ambulances coming out.
I believe he was threatening to go on hunger strike, and as a result, he was placed in a box, locked inside that box, put outside in the elements from about 3 p.m. till about 7 p.m. or so.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
I have no idea why, but they refuse to produce it. Meaning that until we see that agreement, they're detaining people here illegally. And that's why the lawyers have no recourse or legal process to defend their clients. This place is a black box. They are blatantly violating people's civil liberties, their Fourth Amendment rights, etc. We're here because there was an interfaith vigil with various leaders of various faiths to basically protest against Alligator Alcatraz, the concentration camp in the Everglades here in Florida, and just to call attention to the depraved conditions and illegality that people in detention here are suffering. Journalist from NPR, he tried to protest by going on hunger strike, and they locked him in a box. They put him outside under the hot sun from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. while he was screaming, "Please let me out! Please let me out!" I mean, I don't understand how people can do this to other people, but it's happening. And beyond that, I would say we have no clear answer to who has jurisdiction over this site, right? We talked to Chrome Detention Facility, which is in Homestead, and they say that they have no jurisdiction to oversee cases of detainees in here. They refer us to the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security says, we have no jurisdiction here, you gotta talk to the Florida Department of Emergency Management, which they administer this site. We talk to them, they say, you gotta talk to DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. The lawyers have nowhere to go, they have no idea who to turn to start defense processes for their clients in there.
Have you heard from reports of people being punished outside? We've heard some things about 4x4 boxes, people outside. Is there any truth to any of that, or is it?
Yeah.
How can we confirm that?
So, we were able to speak to a family member who has a loved one here in detention, and, he was protesting the horrible conditions of the site. I believe he was threatening to go on hunger strike, and as a result, he was placed in a box, locked inside that box, put outside in the elements from about 3 p.m. till about 7 p.m. or so. While, it's very hot, there's a ton of mosquitoes out here, being placed in a box. Imagine it's torture. And the person in detention, we're actually able to patch him through after he was, out of the box with Tim Padgett, who's a reporter with NPR, WLRN, the South Florida affiliate, and he was able to tell this story himself to Tim Padgett.
Wow, that's fascinating. Is there any way to determine what's going on with hunger strike folks? Like how many people are striking and what's the status of their health?
Yeah, it's difficult to get a clear picture because obviously, lawyers have not been let in here. That's why the ACLU is currently in a lawsuit against this place. From speaking to family members that have people in detention here, know that at least 12 people or so are in hunger strike. This is about the 12th day that they're in hunger strike. The problem is that, there's been a larger than average number of hospitalizations, and we know this because we're seeing the ambulances going in and out, over a dozen this weekend alone, and one while the vigil was happening. I mean, we saw it, we took video of it. And also they've been transferring people that are participating in this hunger strike to other detention facilities, I believe as a way of breaking up the strike. But I do know that at least 12 people engaged in this protest.
Support this critically important on-the-ground reporting as a Status Coup member and get great perks. Become a member right here.
I need people to be human beings again. I need people to be human beings again. Amen. And then I need your help to remind people, to bring them back to human beings, that they are human beings and what that means, because there's not enough. That's the message I got. And I said, okay, then I guess we're doing this. And because whenever Creator, when I ask, how can I help you? Use me how you need me to help you. You have to do it when He responds, when you get that message. And then for me, that message was the way to remind people to be human beings again is to bring people together who are human beings to help spread that word and get that message amplified to more individuals.
There's been an uptake in ambulances, I would think, because today is day 11th of the hunger strike that the Cuban nationals are doing. So we've seen an uptake in ambulances coming out.
In regards to the hurricane response that the state issued a couple days ago, when they revealed it, it was heavily redacted. It looked to be about 90% redacted, meaning that the public isn't privy to any of the logistics. How do you feel about that? I mean, are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Well, I would think, I understand it was heavily redacted, but redacting, I understand they're thinking for safety of where they're going to transport these individuals, but as a member of the public as well, it still leaves a lot of concern that they're not going to properly evacuate individuals here, whether it's the people being detained or even their own staff. Doesn't give me any confidence.
In regards to sound pollution, sonic pollution, and I know you all are experiencing a lot of light pollution out here.
Yes.
How is that affecting the community as a whole?
Well, you know, the sound pollution, especially from the intense vehicle traffic, because out here used to be quiet, not that many vehicles. Now it's almost like you're in the middle of the city now with all the trucks coming and going. At nighttime, you have to think about the nocturnal animals that are here. From what I understand, even bears have been migrating more to the east because of the disturbance here. And even all these, like the panther population that's here, their habits are going to change. At night, you know, the light pollution, you have to think about, you know, we have the bonneted bats out here. We're a place that has fireflies. So owls, even alligators hunt at night. So all these animals that do nighttime activity, you know, their lives are being disrupted, in addition to the Miccosukee and Seminoles that live out here. You know, even myself with the increased traffic, you know, I have concerns about, you know, of public safety, you know, because of the cars coming in and out of here. Almost every day we see a near accident occur. Cars pulling out and cars not slowing down. So it's interesting, and I think a blessing that an accident hasn't occurred. But with that intensity of traffic, like there was a traffic accident, I understand, about 10 miles east of here. So public safety on the roadways is a major concern as well.
Last question. We saw some reports that saw some heavy-duty equipment coming in that would typically be assessed with permanent infrastructure. For example, equipment that would be used to create a grid. Where do you see this site in 10 years in regards to infrastructure development, spec housing, box stores, things like that? Do you think that's in their plan to just develop this area?
You know, this area, you know, from the get-go, we've expressed concerns that there was never supposed to be any future major development out here, even though they say this is temporary with the infrastructure to put in drainage culverts. We've seen that go in. We've seen truckload after truckload of hay go in. We've seen plywood go in. We've seen earth movers, massive earth movers go in. So it begs the question, if this is temporary, why is all this equipment that is for actual development going in? And having read newspaper articles like in the Miami Herald, where people apparently 2 years ago negotiations started for the state of Florida to acquire this land to develop it. So when they're saying this is temporary, I'm not buying it because they've already looked at acquiring the property to develop it. And I think for me, this was their way to go in without having to pay any money, without having to pull any permits and start that process. Because whatever infrastructure they're putting in, they could use it down the road for other type of development, whether it's a storage facility or even some type of commercial airport use or emergency response. That leads to housing for people, or they may want a permanent prison out here, a permanent detention center. So you're going to have to create that infrastructure for what all that entails, and that's what's very concerning. Regardless of what type of development out here, it doesn't belong out here.
When we talk about the lawsuit, the ACLU and the Friends of the Everglades, it's been reported that there's been a push by the DeSantis administration to move the jurisdiction from the southern district to the central. What do you think the likelihood of that is to becoming a reality? Are they really going to be able to move the jurisdiction because they don't like the odds of the judge being connected to the Everglades?
That's a great question. So the Friends of the Everglades lawsuit, I do want to clarify, is different from the ACLU lawsuit, right?
Okay, thank
Friends
you.
of the Everglades lawsuit is related to the environmental impact of this facility and the fact that they haven't conducted a NEPA review, which is a federal environmental impact study. And the ACLU lawsuit relates to lawyers having access to their clients, which they have not been able to meet inside this facility because it is unclear under whose jurisdiction this facility is under. Now for your specific question around the judge shopping, right? That's what that's called.
Yeah, forums.
There was a hearing on that, and it did not seem like the lawyer was, the judge was amicable to that. It doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get away with that. So I could be wrong, but I would be highly surprised if the jurisdiction of that lawsuit is moved.